You're listening to Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. The Drive is coming up. The ESPN Cleveland 101.3 lineup is supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. WholesaleSupply.us.
Men, when it comes to your health, don't cut corners. At Tennessee Valley Urology Center, they do men's health the right way. They believe in evidence-based treatments, honest conversations, and care that's tailored to you, not cookie-cutter solution. Call or visit tnvalleyurology.com to book your appointment today.
So who is the best local law firm? Well, winning the Best of the Best award answers that question. You have some small firms that might get a nomination or two, mostly by friends and family. Then there are those that have been around a while that have gotten several nominations on name recognition alone. But only Warren & Griffin has won the Best of the Best law firm 10 years in a row. 10 years.
I'm C-Mark.
I'm John Mark.
Chattanooga's best law firm, 10 straight years.
Call us 265-HURT. We are your local law firm.
Want to save on home and auto insurance? Call AAA in Cleveland today to see how much you could save. 423-458-1536. Same great coverage, new lower rates. AAA in Cleveland. 423-458-1536. Discounts and savings subject to eligibility. Personal lines insurance underwritten by Member Select Insurance Company.
Hey, Andy Morris here. Join me along with my co-host on The Drive, presented by Hardees, weekdays at 5 p.m. on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Cleveland and Bradley County's local sports show, weekdays at 5 on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
From the Kia of Cleveland Studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 101.3, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no style. Got a thirst for killing. Think about it.
Welcome back to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Excited to be here with everybody today. Full house today. Me, Andy Morris, along with Jim Gum, Jacob Mason. And guys, you know, we're getting into obviously the fall sports are about, we're almost at the halfway point of high school football, first of all.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And so the winter sports are kind of getting geared up, getting ready, doing their preseason practices before they get into regular season things. So I'm obviously coming from wrestling practice, and I had to drive like a Georgia football player to get here today.
Gosh. You and Memphis coach have something in common. Love to throw some shade out.
You set me up for that today. If you could, let's go ahead and start with that. It's a little bit of a slow sports day today. We're going to talk some Braves later on. Don't have any guests lined up for the day. We'll hit on some high school football and some middle school football. But if you could, just go ahead and let our listeners know what we were talking about before we went on air, Jacob.
Yeah, Memphis's coach was on some kind of podcast or something, and they were just kind of talking about how their program operates and how they talk about practice, like what is the standard and what is not the standard, giving examples. And the example that he liked to use was a Georgia wide receiver going 900 miles an hour and getting a ticket. That's an every week occurrence.
So that's Ryan Silverfield is the head coach of Memphis football.
I want you to take a guess. If you had to guess what state he was born in, where are you going?
Florida.
I was going to say Alabama.
It's Florida.
Okay.
Grew up in Jacksonville. Probably a Florida fan growing up, taking his best Steve Spurrier shot at the Bulldogs.
Did he throw his visor?
I know, no, but here's the thing. The one thing that I've always really respected about Kirby Smart, there's never been a time that you've heard him say a bad word about another coach, ever. There's probably people out there that like him or that dislike him and that he dislikes greatly, but he's not going to step on other people's toes or give ammo to anybody or their university. He sits up there and he says his piece and says he respects them and then moves on.
You know, I know this is a little bit of a change, but you guys would have loved to have been doing sports radio when Steve Spurrier was head coach.
Oh, for sure.
He was, and he did it so subtly, but little jabs. And he spoke how he really felt. but he did it in a way it was almost hilarious. I miss those days of Steve Spurrier. I miss the days of Ed Orgeron with the way he was. And Mike Leach.
Yes.
Those guys were great for talk radio because they would say things, they would say the way they felt without pulling back, trying to be politically correct. And I miss those guys.
I feel like Steve Spurrier did a lot of whining, though. Do you not feel the same way? He complained a lot.
He I guess maybe he did complain, but I guess I only remember the little jabs he would throw.
Yeah, he would.
He would throw shade at people.
Can we call them Spurrierisms? Can we call them that?
I guess you just did, so I guess we can. But those guys were classic.
So Steve Spurrier quote, I always sort of liked playing Georgia that second game because you could always count on them having 2 or 3 key players suspended.
He wasn't afraid to throw
That's
shade.
when he was at South Carolina, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
He always loved throwing some shade our way. And one person that I saw an interview of, that I would have loved to be more involved in sports radio was Mike Leach.
Oh,
just the things that he I went back and I watched the interview of when they said somebody asked him the question if mascots were real life and they could fight, like who would win their conference, and he went on a full spiel about, so does the Arizona State Devils, does he have godlike powers? And he goes, the tree's gone, it's getting chopped up, and he took it so seriously and just went on a rant. He would have been an awesome person to been able to sit here, play a clip, and talk about, rest in peace to that man.
Hey, our friend Stephen Shelton just sent a message in here, said can't spell citrus without UT. Best ever.
That was Spurrier,
that was a good
man.
one. That was a good one.
And that's he was just so fun, loving, and if you were a Tennessee fan, it ate at the core. Because deep down inside, you knew he was being truthful, and it hurt.
And
but everyone else just thought it was hilarious.
Steve Spurrier is a Tennessee born and he went to Science Hill High School. He's from Johnson City.
Yeah.
And the fact that he went to Florida and did what he did, won a Heisman Trophy at Florida, he just kind of always kept a grudge against Tennessee.
Well,
because I don't think they really recruited him.
Florida was running a pro-style offense, and that's what he wanted to play in. And at the time, Tennessee was not. So that's the reason that he ended up at the University of Florida. Won a Heisman Trophy, played in the NFL. He was a mediocre, actually probably less than mediocre quarterback in the NFL. And then he became a head coach, and he started off in the remember he took Duke to another level they hadn't been at in a long time. Got the job at Florida. Well, actually began in the USFL. Was that Tampa Bay Bandits. Had a lot of success in the USFL. Went on to Duke. Had a pretty successful little stint there. And then when he got to Florida, with all the resources, and he was so far ahead of the rest of the country with his sophisticated passing. I mean, the SEC was a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of league, and he started chucking it all over the place,
running fun and gun.
Yeah, and he took the SEC by storm. It really did change the entire dynamics of the Southeastern Conference.
So is Lane Kiffin the closest thing we have to Spurrier in sports right now? Would you think that he's...
maybe in college football? I'm trying to think if there's anyone in basketball that's like, that.
One of my favorite Lane quotes is, while I'm at the University of Tennessee, Georgia will never beat us. And he was right. He was there 1 year, and he beat us, and we never got the opportunity to
revenge.
I feel like Lane Kiffin is a little bit more sly. He's a little more calculated.
You always hear these what ifs in sports. Hey, what if Rich Rodriguez had taken an Alabama job, then Saban wouldn't have got it. What if Lane Kiffin had stayed at Tennessee? I really and truly believe Tennessee would have won a national championship, at least one from that time, because I think that he was the type of coach that would have done a tremendous job recruiting. Obviously, that's all speculation. We'll never know.
They were on a good trajectory to be in position to do so.
And then the people that Tennessee hired after him was it was embarrassing. I mean, you got Mr. Orange Pants himself, Dooley. Then you got Butch Jones. I mean, it was a disaster after disaster after disaster until they got Heupel. But I always wonder what Tennessee could have been had Lane Kiffin never left for the USC job.
Talk about two guys Tennessee fans hate. We're starting the show talking Lane Kiffin and Steve Spurrier. How about that?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And
well, let's throw Nico in there while we're at it. Let's go ahead and let's do the three amigos then.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think that one's healing.
Do you
I think they're already healing
Do you guys ever watch the SEC shorts? Do you watch those videos?
Sometimes.
I didn't get to watch this week's. It was like
you
it was
gotta watch
7 minutes long, but the first somebody retweeted it, or I guess can you call it a
repost? It's a repost.
Yeah.
I'm forever gonna just call it Twitter.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
But they said they never miss, and so it must have been good. I need to go back and watch it.
So I'm going to just give a quick highlight of a certain part of it. They're dealing with Tennessee and the loss, obviously, to Georgia, and how tough of a loss it was, and how they should have made the field goal and should have won, yada yada yada. And they to calm the Tennessee fan down, they hand them a phone, and it's playing the UCLA game, and they're like, "Well, I guess this is all right. This makes me feel a little bit better." It's pretty funny. It's good stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah, stuff like that. But no, I mean, there's always these what if, woulda, coulda, shoulda type things in all sports, really. But boy, if you look at football, college football only, there's some really awesome ones. I mean, I do believe that had Lane Kiffin stayed at Tennessee, they would have been way better than they ended up being for a good decade. And then, how would have Alabama been had Saban never, ever got that job? If Rich Rodriguez had said yes.
What if Nick Saban just stays at LSU?
Yeah.
That's a big one right there.
Does LSU win all the national championships that Alabama ended up winning? There's a lot of great would-haves, could-have, should-haves out there.
Hey, since we're riling up our Tennessee fans, what if Chris Winkie would have played in the national title game in '98? What if they weren't starting their third-string quarterback?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of those like that.
I'm just saying all this stuff because I know Stephen Shelton's listening right now. I'm just having a little fun.
I'm sitting over here trying to think. Didn't you say you were going to be a safe space for those Tennessee fans?
Listen,
out there?
I'm pulling for them on Saturdays. I am, and I'm putting the info out there. But got to poke the bear a little bit every now and then as well. But no, yeah, there's so many different things in college football that just completely shifted. You talked about how Spurrier came into Florida with that fun and gun, and it changed it. It changed everything offensively, not just in the SEC, but in
the whole country.
In college football in general.
Listen, BYU was doing that stuff back in the day. There were a few schools, but they weren't major powers in major conferences doing it. He was the first one to take a major conference power. Well, he turned Florida into a power, actually, but. You saw schools like BYU doing it. You had a few other outliers doing that stuff. But he was the first one to take a big-time program and do that stuff. And everyone said, oh, you can't win doing that. Well, he proved them wrong. You can win, and he did win, and he won one. Listen, one of the shockers is that Florida only won one national championship under Spurrier. Honestly, they were so good. They should have won more than that. Obviously, we all remember the time that they took on Nebraska, and Nebraska put 62 on them. But, I mean, of course, Florida won the national championship the next year. But there was a lot of those Gator teams I've thought, that's the best team in the country right now. And somehow, some way, they wouldn't win it. But, no, I thought Spurrier changed the whole dynamics of big-time college football with his open it up top deal and throwing it all over the place. And it was a very entertaining form of football.
Yeah, and so while we're talking about head coaches here, and I want to kind of cater to another one of our listeners, we were talking Dabo Swinney yesterday. We were talking Clemson, and he's getting a little defensive over his position, over his job. Rightfully so. Mm-hmm. But you remember the Bowden Bowls when Terry Bowden was the head coach?
Tommy Bowden.
Or Tommy Bowden was the head coach, and Bobby was still at Florida State.
Well, Terry was at Auburn.
And
Tommy
was at Auburn.
Clemson, and his dad was still – their dad, I should say, was still at Florida State.
So this is the reason I'm bringing that up is, that, first of all, I thought the Bowden Bowls were like one of the coolest things in college football. Dad coaching against his sons. I thought that was so awesome. But going back to when Tommy lost that position, lost that job at Clemson, a lot of people felt like that Dabo kind of weaseled his way in there a little bit and jumped on an opportunity. A lot of people kind of feel like at one point Philip Former did that with Johnny Majors.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a very similar type deal there.
And so from the get-go, I was like, I don't know if I like Dabo Swinney. I don't know how I feel about this guy. And he kind of seemed like the used car salesman. No offense to you guys that are out there listening. I hope you sell a bunch of cars today. But he just kind of had that salesman mentality to him. And I was like, I don't know if he's telling me this because this is who he is and he believes this, or if he's just full of hot air. And as we've all gotten to know Dabo Swinney and what he's done at Clemson, I think we can agree he's a good man. He's a great guy. But has he worn out his welcome? Like there's more than just being a good guy and a good coach. Jacob can dive into this. He kind of was behind the 8 ball when it comes to the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff. He wasn't willing to get acclimated.
He's been slow to jump on that train.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, is he cheesy? Yes. Is he kind of goofy? Yes. He's built a program that lasts, though. Like we're talking about a school that has won, what did we say, 8 out of the last 10 ACC championships, has been to 7 playoffs, has
won 2 national championships,
went to 4 championships and won 2 of them. Has the last couple of years been tough? Sure, but who are you going to fire him and replace him with?
Here's the thing about Clemson, okay? Clemson's not a blue blood, if you know what I'm talking about as far as college football. They're probably the premier team historically in the ACC. If you go all the way back to 1953 when the ACC was formed, Florida State joined in '93, so they haven't always been there. The Florida State's been the most prominent ACC member since they joined. But Clemson is a top 20 program. They're not a top 10 program. They're not a top 5 program. They're a top 20 program. And for them to do what they did is amazing.
I agree.
And Clemson needs to appreciate what they've got, because I'm telling you, they haven't always been in the national spotlight. Yeah, we know they won a national championship in 1981. That was a long time ago, and that was kind of a freaky thing that happened there. But there was a long run of mediocre. They were always decent. They'd have a winning season. There was a phrase called Clemsoning. Clemson is Clemsoning, okay? Because they always found a way to choke here and blow a game there. Dabo Swinney's the greatest coach by far that Clemson's ever had. And be careful what you think you should have. You've got him right now.
And on the heels,
got him right now.
On the heels of mentioning, Philip Former, regardless how he got that job, the way it ended was ugly and not how you treat a guy who won you a national title. And I think Tennessee fans would be the first people to say, whoa, Clemson, pump the brakes. You don't know what the next 20 years could look like.
That's right.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I think he's starting to adapt. I think they're starting to, but really, like, even in all of that, if all this NIL stuff passes, which, by the way, I'm so glad we've been able to move on to from that and just talk actual football.
Yeah, same.
But if, like, the legislation and all that stuff, he might come out of this smelling like roses. Like, he might have been the guy that stand 10 toes down on his business and said, like, when you commit to Clemson, you're not going on other visits. You're not doing this.
It's about principle.
Like, you're committed to Clemson. He may be the guy that said, "Hey, I'm standing 10 toes down here, and this is what I believe, and this is how our club is going to operate, or our program is going to operate." And he may come out smelling like roses, but right now they're just off to a start that I don't think Clemson fans were expecting, because the national media all offseason talked like they were a national title contender, and they're 1-2.
Let's, for the fun of it, let's say there's 136 programs at the Division I FBS level in 2025. If you take all 136 coaches and lined them up, and they're free agents, every head coach is a free agent, is Dabo Swinney going to be? And listen, they're all going to be chosen. There's no dollar signs.
There's a draft.
You just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. how far do you go before you select Dabo Swinney in 2025? How far down the line? I know Kirby Sparks could be the first one. I think Brian Days could be second. How far do you go before you select Dabo Swinney in 2025? Forget what he did the last 10 years. In 2025, is he a top 10 selection? Is he a top 15 selection?
I think he's for sure top 10 with the current. This is Jacob hit on this a little bit with the current rules that are in place. Where does he fall? Because it depends what your angle as a athletic department is, what your funds are. There's some contributing factors here. I think when it comes to flat out coaching, I think he's underachieving right now with the talent that he has on the roster. I really do.
I mean, Cristobal at Miami. You selecting him or you selecting Dabo?
Right now, I'm saying Cristobal.
I'm going Dabo.
See, there's some debate. That's the thing, because he's been so slow.
So why do you go Dabo in that situation?
I don't track. Like I think Dabo one has proven that he can be a good coach and make good hires. I think Cristobal has, until he finally had two quarterbacks that can go out and do his thing, has been miserable.
But what is Dabo doing with a quarterback who we thought could win the Heisman this year?
But the quarterback is not.
He's overrated.
He's
overrated.
To me, I've never thought he's all that good. It's just
he's no Trevor Lawrence, that's for sure.
So to me, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Mario Cristobal. I think like that Georgia Tech game a couple years ago really like just stands out to me in the fact of like he lost them that ball game. Like
that's true.
When I think of coaches that like coach themselves out of games, there's multiple times Mario Cristobal has come up in that conversation where like there's been games where that happens. I can't think of very many where Clemson didn't come in with a good game plan. They just didn't play well.
Okay, let me ask you something. You got Heupel, Dabo Swinney today, 2025. Who are you picking?
I'm sorry, Heupel.
I am too.
I'm going Josh Heupel, 100%.
I am too.
So and
Heupel's never won a national championship. Dabo's got two, but I'm talking about now.
The two that you've offered us right here. The reason I went Cristobal, and I want to defend this a little bit. Miami's been down and out. He's got them relevant again.
He does,
and he's proven that he can hit the portal because, listen, like it or not, that's part of today's culture of college football.
His quarterback won a first round draft,
number one overall draft pick, and really. Now, I could dive into the whole Cam Ward stuff and playing for stats at the end of his career and all, but I think Cristobal is a coach that can go out and create the roster and execute with the roster. I think there's been some years where Dabo overachieved with a roster that we weren't sure yet of how good they were going back to his early days, and he overachieved, and that's kind of what elevated him to be able to get the Trevor Lawrences of the world. But currently, right now, I think they're both top 10. I think Heupel, Cristobal, Dabo, all top 10, but I've got to give the edge just because of what can you do for me now? Like, what have you done for me lately? He's sitting at 1 and 2 right now.
What about DeBoer? You say Kellen DeBoer, Dabo Swinney right now.
Dabo, 100%.
I'm saying I'm going DeBoer.
I'm not.
See, there's not enough big boy football with DeBoer yet for me to know.
He took Washington to a national championship game.
Again, going out there and playing the Pac-12, I'm sorry, that's just not going to be. It's not going to convince me.
Beat Texas.
Like to me, I really think the Heupel Dabo one is really hard for me because if you gave them the exact same roster, who's coming out more successful? If you gave Dabo and Heupel,
judged off the last 2 years, Josh Heupel probably.
And see, that's something that I really like about Heupel is he's ever changing, he's ever evolving. Like you saw last Saturday, he's putting new things into the fold constantly. Last year, when they didn't have great quarterback play, they shifted from their game plan and they became a run heavy team that focused on defense. Now they've got a guy who can sling it around. They're adding some different wrinkles and different concepts. I think Dabo is just a great manager of a football team who his success depends on who he hires as an offense and defensive coordinator.
Currently speaking, there's so much that hangs on the success for Dabo Swinney over the next 2 weeks, or over the next two games. You're playing Syracuse and North Carolina. Bill Belichick's feeling the pressure over there at UNC. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a huge game, Clemson, North Carolina, for both of those guys. The Syracuse game. Now, I'm not saying that Dabo's on the hot seat. I know that's kind of what he was getting at from the question that he was asked by the reporter. But Syracuse is a team like Tennessee showed what an elite team should do when they play Syracuse. Granted, it was week 1. But that should be the same expectation for Clemson. So these next 2 weeks, we're going to learn a lot about where Dabo Swinney and this Clemson team are.
Well, my thing about, and Cade Klubnik is a guy that came into college football with all the hype in the world. He just flat out has not lived up to it. He's not as good as we thought. Just like Nico Imaliava, he came in with a 5-star guy, came with all the hype. He's not as good as we thought he was. It happens. But there again, I think that Dabo Swinney is a really, really good coach. But to me, I see other coaches out there in 2025 that I would select, probably a good maybe 10 of them, that I might select ahead of Dabo on the open market just because I just feel better about the way they coach. I don't know, and I could be dead wrong. I could be dead wrong.
The hard thing is like there's guys out there right now like Dan Lanning in Oregon.
I'd take Dan Lanning.
But Dan Lanning hasn't won a national championship yet. Yep. And Dabo has gone out, has done it, know what it takes, know what it takes to beat a guy like Nick Saban.
And that's why I say Dabo Swinney in 2025, not Dabo Swinney in 2018.
Yeah, but Dabo Swinney in 2025 still has all the information of
I
Dabo
get that.
in 2018.
I get that. But, I mean,
Jim's saying he's getting kind of soft.
He didn't have the NIL stuff going on when he was winning his national championship.
That's true.
Things have changed since then. Drastically changed. The portal.
Do either of you think that Clemson, let's say they keep Dabo Swinney over the next 5 years, does Clemson compete for a national title within the next 5 years?
If you mean compete by making
the playoffs, let's say making the playoffs.
I think they'll make the playoffs.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah, I think they make the playoffs
because they'll win the ACC championship in the next 5. They'll win it in the next 5 years.
Okay,
yeah, I think
the track record shows 8 of the last 10. They're most likely going to be in the conversation for that.
That being said, I think the ACC is going to really be, as long as Cristobal is doing his thing, and I think Florida State's on coming back. I think they're both going to be really difficult for Clemson coming up.
So off that answer, I think it's probably premature for anyone associated with Clemson to be hitting the panic button right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Clemson, you better appreciate what you got because he may be the greatest coach you've ever had.
Yeah, and when you fire,
no, he is the greatest
or ever
coach
will have.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, true.
I mean, and really in today's day and age, like you've watched all these cycles. Florida's in one right now. Tennessee's finally getting out of one. You fire the wrong guy. You don't know who's coming in to replace him, and you don't know what that's going to look like. All
right. I've got one here. Okay. Dabo Swinney or Lane Kiffin?
Ooh. In today's football.
Right, we're talking right now after 3 weeks of college football.
That's a good one. That's a really good one because I'm going to say something. Lane Kiffin is at Ole Miss. Ole Miss does not have the resources that a lot of these other schools got. They just don't. They don't have the money that Texas has or Tennessee has or Alabama or Florida or Georgia. They don't. And yet he's doing pretty darn good things there at Ole Miss. That's why I said had Lane Kiffin never left Tennessee with the resources and the want-to-win mentality that it's at the University of Tennessee, no, I think I would take Lane Kiffin today in 2025.
I'm going Dabo because I just watched last year him have the best roster that he's ever had, and he threw it away and didn't make the playoffs.
You're right. He choked against Kentucky.
They were a walk. They were a walk-in. At the beginning of the season, you looked at their schedule, and they said there's not 2 losses on that schedule.
Yep.
And they found a way to do it.
They lost that Kentucky loss is just baffling to me.
Yeah. And so to me, if you're talking about like what have you done for me lately, like Lane is still in the proving himself mode, and he had the best opportunity he has ever had with a quarterback like Dart and all those guys that he had, the running back stable, all of it, and they found a way to throw it in the trash.
And
so
like I said,
I can't trust him in that.
I believe that was the ceiling for Ole Miss, was 2024. I don't think that Ole Miss can do any better than what they did.
That's why I think
that's as good as they'll get.
If Lane Kiffin were at a Ohio State, a Georgia, throw Clemson in there. Clemson's a recent blue blood. If Lane Kiffin is at one of those schools, he can win a national championship.
I know one school that wants him. Florida fans are begging.
What are you talking about? They got Sunbelt Billy down there. Hey, listen, we want to hear your opinion. Text us or call us on the Volunteer Ridipest phone line, 423-749-1013. That's 423-749-1013. We're going to continue this conversation when we come back.
That was good.
Time out. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Now at Hardees, 2 hand-breaded chicken tender wraps are only $5. Mix and match your favorite flavors like buttermilk ranch, honey mustard, and spicy. Endless combinations start with 2 warm tortillas, each filled with 100% white meat, juicy on the inside, crispy on the outside, hand-breaded chicken tenders. Any 2 wraps, now just $5. Hardees, goodness in the making. These items only. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included. Visit restaurant for details.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
Your game week begins here with the players, the coaches, the experts. Big Orange talk and nothing but. This is Mike Keith, ready with your pregame scouting report from the people in the know. We break down every aspect so you're ready for kickoff. Your pregame meeting happens here. Grab a chair and let's talk some Big Orange football.
ESPN Cleveland 101.3 is powered by Duracell. For the past quarter century, Mix 104.1 has been your home for UT Vols football. That's something to celebrate. Vol 25 is here. ESPN Cleveland 101.3 and USS are giving you a chance to win tickets to all of the Tennessee road games this season. Each Monday before a road game, you can register to win tickets to that Saturday's Vols game. Vol 25 is brought to you by USS. Visit USSTN.com/Chattanooga. For more information, check out our ESPN Cleveland 101.3 socials on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you suffer from unsightly leg veins? Are your legs turning brown or swelling? Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Do you have restless legs or leg cramps disturbing your sleep? These symptoms are signs of bad veins. Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Find more information online at milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682 and get rid of those bad veins.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians $22 to $27 per hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one: medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. And we're sitting here. I don't know how we got off on this, talking about the best head coaches in college football. And if every head coach was a free agent and you just sat there and you're going to label them number 1 pick, number 2, number 3, and so on down the line, how far are we going until we get to Dabo? We never even talked about Marcus Freeman. We haven't talked about Steve Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley. There's some great coaches, and it is interesting to think about where we believe these guys are as far as in the pecking order.
Yeah, I loved the question that you had off air, was if our 3 coaches were evaporated, like they're gone, they retire, who are you wanting to come in and fill that spot? To me, that's a question that says who we think is the best or the most capable of running a program long term.
Yes, and I asked that, and I didn't really make this clear. Like, that makes Ryan Day unavailable for any of us. That makes Marcus Freeman and Kirby Smart unavailable. Those guys are out of the equation. Outside of those guys, who are we taking to run our program? And I think you made it. You've really got me thinking on this one, Jacob, because you threw out Dan Lanning, and I went Lane Kiffin,
and I went Lincoln Riley.
Which I know.
I know you guys don't have I like him. I do. I like Lincoln Riley. So
and we'll see. I think this is kind of a very telling year for him at USC. for them to be like, hey, they're paying him a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
They stole him from Oklahoma, got him out there. A lot of people don't like the way he handled things in Oklahoma on his way out. Does that sound familiar? Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the jury's still out for me on him. I think he's got to prove something here in the next year or two. Because he's been there, 3 years now?
I think. Well, yeah, because that's how long that Brent Venables has been at Oklahoma.
So you got to do something.
This is year 4.
You got to do something for me in year 4. So I'm not sure where I stand on him, but I do feel like, Jacob, I'm going to kind of steal your thunder here a little bit. You think Dan Lanning's going to win a national title here in the next 5 years?
I think Dan Lanning, before he's done, hangs a couple in Oregon. He's 39 years old.
He's 30,
a pup. He is 39. He's cut from the same DNA. He was a GA at Alabama. He went to Memphis for a little while, but then came under Kirby Smart, had the chance to leave a couple different times, and he took the advice of Kirby, sit and wait for the right job.
Where's his alma mater? Where did he go to school?
He's got a really cool story. I don't know where he went to school, but so when he got into this coaching thing, he was a high school coach, and he drove up. I want to say it was somewhere in Pennsylvania, and just said, "Can I be a GA for you?" And he moved his wife up there, lived on I got this story when I went to a coaching clinic. And I said, "Hey man, how'd you get here? Just tell me about it. How'd you get here?" And so he went and worked for Scraps, but then started making waves,
Yeah.
and then worked his way to a GA at Alabama, and then he went to Memphis as the linebacker coach.
So he actually played at William Jewell.
Where the heck's that?
That's a good question. Playing career 04 to 07, William Jewell.
Now, come on, you can't leave us hanging because I'm going to know what state.
So that's
is that like in Alaska?
Yeah. So I had to look it up. NCAA Division II, and they're in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. So
it's up there in the Midwest somewhere.
Well, they're in Liberty, Missouri.
Liberty, Missouri.
And so his first job was at a high school, Park Hill South High School in Missouri, as a special teams coach, defensive back, and wide receiver coach. So you talk about working your way up.
What a
And so the next part of the story comes in. He drives to Pittsburgh and becomes a GA, and basically said, "I'll do anything. I'll do anything to he dove head in the pool and went in, and then his coaching career just blossoms. Now he's sitting at Oregon, where resources are unlimited. They've got some of the best facilities in the entire country, and he's 39 years old, and I'm telling you, he's gonna hang a couple. And really, I think he's happy there. I don't think if Kirby Smart retired tomorrow and Georgia called him, I don't think he's leaving.
Here's the thing I always wonder about. Look, Phil Knight's up there. What happens to all that Nike money the day that Phil Knight passes?
I bet you he writes something in his will, genuinely. I bet you he probably has something in his will that says this amount of money will continue to go to Oregon for X, Y, and
because
Z.
Oregon is not a college football blue blood. They're what I call a Johnny-come-lately type program. They were never relevant until basically the mid-'90s, and now they've began that trajectory up, and they've sustained it. That's the thing about Oregon. You've always had schools that have gotten up there, like Kansas State. They got up there, they've fallen back down. Oregon has sustained it, and they've stayed up there, and a lot has to do with Phil Knight and that Nike money.
Well, and now they're in the Big Ten. They're getting Big Ten. They're getting Big Ten money. They are the premier program on the West Coast, so they're able to recruit the West Coast better than anybody. But then they're also coming on our side of town and plucking kids out of Georgia. They're plucking kids out of Florida. They're plucking kids out of Ohio.
They are. They're getting them everywhere.
The amount of 5 stars that want to go play for Dan, and something that I love about him too is he's taken like all of that from Kirby and them, but like Kirby wants to win a game like 24-10 and get out of there. Oklahoma State talked to some trash to them the other day, and he hung 70 on them.
Yeah,
and he wanted to let everybody in the country know that they mean business.
So you talk a lot about his pedigree. So let's go back to the other side of the question. Lane Kiffin. Monty Kiffin's his dad.
That's right.
Was around NFL coaches, some of the best his entire life. And pretty good pedigree for Lane Kiffin as well. And we've seen him at a place like Florida Atlantic be able to recruit. At a place like that being able to win. So,
well, of course, he had that cup of coffee with the Raiders. It did not end well there at all. Him and Al Davis just did not see eye to eye, and he was let go. I still think that one day Lane Kiffin will find himself on an NFL sideline.
You think he goes back?
I think I think he wants to see how far he can go in college, but I think ultimately Lane Kiffin will end up in the National Football League.
So
I believe that.
What's more likely, Lane Kiffin going to a program like Florida that is actually a contender, could be a contender to win a national championship? Or does he end up back up in the NFL?
I think if let's say the Dallas Cowboys job opens up, I think he would be I think he's one of those guys that he would not go to a franchise that
he's not going to the Cleveland Browns.
He's not going to the Browns. He'd going to the Bengals. He's going to go to the Cowboys or the Patriots or the Steelers or the Rams or someone like that. I think he would end up at a place to where he feels like they're committed to win and do whatever it takes to win, and they're not going to cut corners.
The problem with that though is because of how unserious he can be. What NFL, like those NFL teams that are known for having great success, they normally have guys at the helm that also are the image
buttoned
of
up.
that. Are buttoned up and do like you look like you go to his Twitter alone. Like the only place I feel like he could end up is a place like Miami. Like, honestly, like I don't know that Dallas is maybe a Jerry's world. Jerry could do it, but I don't know that the Patriots aren't going to call him and say, hey, come run this program. Like, he gets on Twitter way too much for that.
And maybe you put something in a clause where, hey, the social media is off limits for you.
That's where I feel the opposite. I don't think – so just hearing things that he said about having regrets and not only as a coach but as a husband, as a father, like this is a guy who's done some pretty serious self-evaluation over the last few years, and he's talked about, like, I've had opportunities to go to places like Auburn. He's had these big opportunities, and he chose to stay at Ole Miss because he made that mistake leaving Tennessee, and he realizes it now. Never should have left, never should have dabbled with the whole USC thing, but it's part of his story, and he's learned from it. So I think if he does make a move, it's going to be under the best of conditions, the best of terms, and it's going to be to a college where he can go in immediately, recruit like he's recruited everywhere, and win immediately.
Well, and I'm going to say this, and this is not going to go over well on the air, okay? You go to Auburn, you're still on the second team in your state.
That's true.
I'm sorry. He wants to. If he's going to go anywhere, he's going to want to go to the school in that state, not the Plan B school in that. I hate to say that. I know a lot of Auburn fans out there. Alabama rules that state, and he doesn't want to go to the second most popular school in the state.
What are you talking about? Auburn just won a national title, and they didn't even have to play a game to get it.
They won several.
A couple of them, right?
But I know that probably ruffled some feathers there. But if he's going to go anywhere, he's going to go to where he's not going to go to Texas A&M. He's going to go to Texas.
I'm sorry, though, facts don't care about your feelings. That's fact. Alabama is the number one team in that state.
So
Auburn
what's the
has
number one school in the state of Florida?
Well, I was about to say, we're talking the state of Florida right now.
Florida State. Florida's the number one school in that state. You can say what you want about. I know that Miami's doing really good right now, and Florida State's doing good right now. But
are we talking
if you
football?
Tell me which sport? I mean, which school is the number one school in the state of Florida? I think it's the University of Florida.
I think it's Florida State.
I think it's Florida State.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Bobby Bowden kind of set a standard at Florida State that,
Spurrier, Urban Meyer had a lot of success at Florida.
Yeah, that's true. See, and I think it could go either way on that one. I do think, obviously, Miami in the 80s under Jimmy Johnson and Bo.
You talk about Miami. You talk about Dennis Erickson. You had
first national title.
Oh, that was Howard Schnellenberger.
Howard Schnellenberger. I was thinking.
Yeah, you
Bo
had
Schembechler.
Jimmy Johnson. You had Dennis Erickson, and then you had.
They've all got great resumes.
Yeah, Florida is a different state though, y'all. Like, it's not like we're talking about a Georgia or an Alabama or a South Carolina. Like, Florida's big enough and has enough talent year in and year out, just from your high schools alone, that there can be
all three.
They can all be good.
Yeah. So I'm kind of being devil's advocate to myself now, kind of defending Jim here a little bit. Florida's in the SEC.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a huge part of that question. And Florida State's scratching and clawing, trying to get out of the ACC.
I mean, Florida's not going 2-10. Florida State went 2-10.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're right. This year, you're right, though, Jim. I'm going to predict they go better than 2-10. The Gators will go better than 2.
Sunbelt Billy just said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, I probably should have premised it in the last 50 years. Florida's not going 2-10. Yeah,
well,
they might
happen this year.
It might happen this year. So.
Although I do remember a year that Florida went 0-10-1. That was Chris Collinsworth senior year at the University of Florida. When Chris Collinsworth was a wide receiver, they went 0-10-1. I think it was 1979 or 80, something like that. Oh,
this has been fun college football conversation. Hey, real quick before we go to break, we've got some big stuff going on this Friday. High school football, of course, all high school football is presented by Food City. Bradley taking on Red Bank over there at Bear Stadium. Cleveland is on the road at Oak Ridge, and Walker Valley on the road at Ooltewah. So definitely get out this Friday night. Support your local high school football teams. Once again, presented by Food City. And then middle school. We've got some middle school football coming up tomorrow and some big games there as well. Lake Forest taking on Maryville up there at their place. And then Ocoee hosting Ray County over there at Walker Valley High School. And then Cleveland Middle is playing Boyd Buchanan, and we actually do have a score result from last night. Lake Forest JV over Boyd Buchanan 28-27 in what sounded like a thrilling game over there at Lake Forest for the JV squad. So with that, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little Atlanta Braves, who had a doubleheader yesterday and I believe are still currently playing. I haven't even checked in on it. Right now, they are trailing the Washington Nationals 3-1. So we're going to talk about all that when we come back.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Omaha, set, hut. This is John Davis, the trade-in man for Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway, announcing our year-end sales blitz. My team will do whatever it takes to win your business. Red zone prices and payments on every vehicle in our giant inventory. We're going to tackle every trade-in, even if you have months left or still owe thousands, and we're going to crush bad credit. Our lenders will say yes to you and yes to your situation, plus beat any deal from anywhere in Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama. The only deal that I can't beat is the one that I don't know about. Don't miss this year-end sales blitz. Make the winning drive and score the best deal of the year. Come see me, John Davis, at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where trading your car is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland Superstore.
Negative trade equity may be refinanced subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
KiaofCleveland.com.
The absolute best deals are located at Deal Days. Everything in the store, $7 on Saturday and Sunday, $5 on Monday, $3 on Tuesday, and just $1 on Wednesday. Located next to Planet Fitness on APD 40. Other locations are in Chatsworth, Calhoun, and Cartersville. That's Deal Day.
When it comes to your vascular health, you have a choice. Don't wait weeks for an appointment or settle for less than the best. At the Vascular Institute of Chattanooga, we make it easy. Timely appointments where you're seen in days, not weeks. No referral needed. We're the only vascular practice in the region to accept self-referrals. And we have 6 convenient locations. Expert care, always close to home. Choosing VIC means choosing the regional leaders in vascular care, where experience, convenience, and advanced treatment come together for you. Your health, your choice. Choose VIC. Call today or visit vascularinstituteofchattanooga.com.
This is Alfonso Revizo, General Manager over at Crown in Cleveland, your local Jeep and Ram dealership.
Not all composite decking is the same. Enjoy life's beautiful moments on an equally beautiful composite deck. Envision's products feature deep, non-repeating grains and distinct colors throughout each pour, offering a truly unique appearance unlike anything else on the market. Learn more and find inspiration for your project at Cleveland Plywood. Cleveland Plywood Company, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland.
Take ESPN Cleveland 1013 with you wherever you go. Listen online at ESPNCleveland1013.com. Presented by Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Visit MilliganVein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
You bleed orange. You never miss a Vols game. But when's the last time you showed that same pride in your smile? At Magnolia Dental Center of Cleveland, we treat every patient like it's 4th and goal. Fast, tough, and no-nonsense care. Just like the way Tennessee plays. Cleanings, repairs, full-on restorations. We'll get you back in the game. Magnolia Dental Center, proudly serving Vol Nation, one winning smile at a time. Call 423-476-3307 or visit MagnoliaDentalCenterofCleveland.com to schedule an appointment today. Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Discover your new favorite sweet treat, the Mayfield Dairy Ice Cream Bar, now available in 4 delicious flavors: chocolate chip cookie dough, chocolate fudge brownie, caramel waffle cone, and cherry fudge chunk. Learn more at MayfieldDairy.com. Once again, MayfieldDairy.com. Big shout out to Mayfield Dairy. All things Atlanta Braves, they've got you covered right here on The Drive. And going back to yesterday, the Braves had a doubleheader. Game 1, they won that game 6-3. Matt Olson went 2 for 5, had a home run. That was his 4th straight game with a home run. Jurickson Profar also had a home run and 2 RBI. And Jose Suarez went 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts for the Bravos there in Game 1, once again winning that game 6-3. In Game 2, the Braves took that one in extra innings, 5-0 in the 10th. Chris Sale, 8 scoreless innings, only 3 hits. One of those came in the 8th inning late there. Solid night for Chris Sale. Had no walks, 9 strikeouts. That's a guy who, keep him healthy for a full season, probably competing for another Cy Young award. Didn't get the win, unfortunately. Braves not able to push any runs across until that 10th inning where Drake Baldwin entered the game and drove across Money Mike for the 1-0 score. Ended up being the only run that really mattered, but Matt Olson did come in with that 4-game home run streak and got a 3 RBI double. Unfortunately, not able to continue that home run streak, but tacked on 3 more runs there for the Bravos as they won Game 2 yesterday 5-0. Currently, the Braves are playing. Had it right in front of me here a second ago, and are actually we were trailing 3-1 when we went to break. Braves lead 4-3 right now, so just over.
Probably a Matt Olson homer.
Yeah, listen, we're going to figure it out. But hey, Jacob, I know you wanted to real quick talk about that Tennessee-Georgia game from last week, as if we've not upset the Tennessee fans enough.
No, I just want to talk about viewership.
Okay.
It was huge.
Yeah, so it says 12.6 million views. It peaked at 15.9. ABC's 4th most watched regular season game over the last decade, and their best 3:30 Eastern regular season game since 2006. And it just makes me think, like, can you imagine being CBS giving that game up for USC and Purdue?
Well, here's the thing. CBS made their money the next day. Did you see what they did? The NFL's killing it, guys. Did you see the numbers of the Eagles and the Chiefs? 32 million.
Wow.
Double. That's the NFL. It's incredible how successful and how powerful they are.
Well, especially when you put those 2 teams on the field together.
Oh,
like you're easily the 2 most popular teams in the league right now.
It's just hard for me to fathom, and I guess because there's only 32 of them versus like there's 136 programs out there, like, and the viewership is spread across. But like the product of the game that I watched on Saturday, like forget that I'm a Georgia fan. Just the fact that like that game, how good it was. It's hard for me to think that there's a better sport out there than college football.
Well, and here's the thing. If you look at the scores in the NFL, they're almost all within 1 score. There's 73-0 games in college football. You never see that in college football. That's the thing that the NFL has, is they're so close as far as talent. That's why all these games are so darn competitive. They all go down to the end of the game, and the losing team has the ball with a chance to tie it or win it. That's what the NFL has over college football, is the competitiveness of literally every game.
I'm glad that you specifically we're talking NFL there because you're talking about scoring. I was going to say, have you ever watched an Iowa Hawkeye football game? you end up with baseball scores in those.
Not so much these days. A couple years ago, they're back to being able to put points on the board these days. But
I pull for the Hawkeyes. Listen,
I'm a bigger college football fan than NFL. There's no question. I'm college all the way. But the NFL they kill college football when it comes to ratings. It's not close.
This is one thing though for me when you compare the two. Like, if you were to take the Tennessee Titans and play a Sunday game, you move them to Neyland Stadium. Do you sell out Neyland Stadium? I don't think you do.
Probably not.
I don't think you do. There is just such a passion, and a lot of it has to do with the tradition and pageantry of everything around the university. There's just something about college football that they will forever, in my mind, be able to hold over the NFL's head. And I get you got your Bills Mafia and those fun things and your cheeseheads in Green Bay, but, man, there's just such an energy to college football.
Well, we're talking about football here in the South, in the Southeast, okay?
Yeah.
It's different in other parts of the country. The NFL rules the Northeast, it rules the Midwest, it rules the mountains, it rules the Pacific Coast. The only place the NFL doesn't rule is here in the South, where we're sitting.
You're an Ohio guy.
I've lived here most of my life.
You're a Buckeye.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big Bengals fan. When it comes to the state of Ohio, I know my dad's opinion on this because he's similar, being from Cleveland, a Browns fan. But where do you take Ohio State football, Cincinnati Bengal / Browns football? Like what holds the weight in that state?
In Middle Ohio, it's all Ohio State. In the Southeast, it's the Bengals. In the Northwest,
the metro areas.
In the Southwest is the Bengals. In the Northeast, it's the Browns. The rest of the state, the majority of that state's an Ohio State football. That's where they rule. But you got those little pockets where the Bengals are and where the Browns are, where the professional football rules. It depends on where, if you're in a metro area. But the rest of the country, man, the Northeast, it's all NFL. Out west, on the West Coast, it's all NFL. That's why the 49ers do so well in in that area. But the Stanford and the Cal Bears, people, it's crickets chirping.
Second tier.
It's crickets chirping out there. It's all professional out there. In Los Angeles, if the Trojans are really good, people will pack the Coliseum, but they better not be putting a mediocre product on the field. We're here. If Clemson's 1-2, they're going to have 80,000 at their stadium. If that was an NFL franchise here
the
in
Panthers,
the South, they're not because the South is all college football, where the rest of the country is mostly NFL.
Yeah, last year you could get Panthers tickets, like they were giving them away, basically. Like you could get them for $2.
Yeah, I mean, it's different because of where we are located.
That's another thing where the state of Florida is it's so unique. It's its own thing, man.
The Dolphins rule Miami
They do.
more than the University of Miami does.
And even years ago back when Miami was on those runs with Butch Davis and winning national titles with Ken Dorsey and Clinton Portis and all those guys, like they had fans showing up, but it did not compare to the Dolphins at their peak. There's so much more support being a pro town. Hey, couple things we got to get in, and one of them is our Inside the SEC segment, sponsored by Southern Heritage Bank. Jim, you got it.
Yeah, Jacob, you'd love this. Inside the SEC by Southern Heritage Bank. The best records in the SEC the last 5 years, and this is 2021 into 2025, so we are counting the 3 weeks that we've seen college football thus far. Georgia 55-5, Alabama 47-10. That's a 5-game difference. Alabama's lost twice as many games as Georgia has, and they're second place. Ole Miss is 42-3. They're third place. Tennessee is the fourth winningest program, 39-16. Texas is number 5. LSU, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and South Carolina. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma were including their stats from when they were in the Big 12. But those are the 10 winningest programs. But you look at that, 55-5 for Georgia, Alabama 47-10. Things have swung the other way in the SEC because it used to be Alabama ruled this conference. It's Georgia's, man. This is Georgia's conference right now.
Kirby said, not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend.
That's
so
right.
Pretty impressive there.
Hey, real quick, a couple more things we got to get in here before we take off for the day. Cal Raleigh last night ties and breaks Mickey Mantle's 1961 home run record for a switch hitter, hitting home runs 55 and 56 in Kansas City last night. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, doing some big business with that bat.
He needs to be the MVP in the American League. I'm sorry. I agree. He's the most valuable player in that league.
100% agree. And what he's doing is so impressive while catching. He is a catcher.
The toughest position in all of team sports.
No doubt about it.
Catcher at the major league level.
And then the other thing that we got is coming up next right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3 Finish Line Radio. These guys are pumped. They got a big show today talking about some of the tire issues from Bristol, all kinds of stuff going on there with those guys coming up next. Finish Line Radio. Be sure to stay tuned and listen to them as they get you filled in on everything around NASCAR. And there's a rumor. It's the best radio show in NASCAR. That's what everyone says. I'm on board.
I've heard that same rumor.
I'm on board.
I got Chattanooga Central's coach to download our app. He's a big NASCAR fan. He saw me watching qualifying before the game last Friday, and so he said I'm listening this Wednesday. So got you guys a new a listener last week.
Yeah, Jamie Kyle said it's the best show on radio. Period. End of story. Regardless.
That's it. I agree with him. What we do here is just pure and utter embarrassment. But we have a lot of fun doing it. We hope you guys stay tuned for Finish Line Radio. Have a great day, everybody.